Hey, are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
We're live. Hey, wow. Hey, welcome to the 11 Warriors post-game report. Jason Priestis, Chris Lauderback, live at the 11 Warriors bunker, downtown Columbus here. Chris, tail of two halves. Ohio State jumped out to a 49-0 halftime lead. Second half, only true fans probably really enjoyed that. The game was over. Not the most fun football half I've ever watched in my life, but end results of 56-7. Resounding win over Michigan State. Came to the game. Sparty came in ranked 7th. Ohio State was 4th. Enough to move them ahead of Oregon, no matter what Oregon does. You think Oregon's going to put up 100 tonight?
I don't know about it no matter what, just because they're playing a pretty good Utah team, but they're actually an underdog too. So I certainly think it's a possibility. It'd be interesting to see. Either way, you got to feel really, really, really good about what Ohio State showed out there on the field today.
Yeah, what did they show, man? C.J. Stroud played one half and one series in the second half. Finished 32 of 35. One of those was a drop. 432 yards, 6 touchdowns, no incompletions, 91% completion percentage. I know this is a bad Michigan State pass team. It's a Big Ten team, number 7 in the country.
Right.
Outstanding day for him. Tied the school record. Most touchdowns in one game was 6. 5 other dudes have it. I think Day had him in the first possession of the second half to try to get that 7th touchdown, set the record. Ohio State would come up short, settle for a missed field goal. Noah Ruggles is now no longer perfect for the year, so
14 to 15.
Not a perfect day. I think a little bit higher than that even, but all around monster day. Bucks with 655 yards of total offense. Michigan State with 224. Most of theirs again coming in the second half.
Yeah, well, and what you want to see is, it's November. Talked about this forever. You win November, it brings good things for postseason opportunities for you. And Ohio State's clicking at the right time. 655 total yards of offense, as you mentioned. That's a season high on the heels of 624 against a Purdue team last week. So this offense is really clicking.
Yeah, I saw a stat too, another fun one. Top 40 points for the 4th time in the first half this season. School record, never done that before. Ryan Day knows something about offense, I think.
Yeah, his play calling is masterful. It obviously helps when you got 3 first-round picks at wide receiver and a quarterback that he is developing and it was really brought along all season long. He just consistently finds ways to put his guys in position to succeed. And, man, they've been doing it in spades.
Look at the other guys on the team. Master Teague finished with 21 carries for 95 yards, most of those in the second half. Workmanlike out there. Travion Henderson, 6 for 53. Mayan Williams had
9 for 63.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Mayan Williams, 4 for 35, had a first half touchdown. Teague had one in the second half. Look at the receivers, man. 3 over 100. Love seeing that. Jackson Smith and Jigbo, 10 for 105, 1 touchdown. Chris Olave, 7 for 140, 2 touchdowns. Garrett Wilson, 7 for 126, 2 touchdowns. One of his was a 77-yarder. The 2 touchdowns for Olave gave him 35 on his career, 35 touchdown receptions. Number 1 all-time Ohio State history right now. Took over from David Boston, right? Yeah. Past David Boston, now owns the number 1 mark on the list.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's just a phenomenal thing to see. He's the least highly touted of all those receivers in the room, too, right? 3-star coming in from California and has done nothing but develop and get better and produce. So awesome to see that. I'll tell you what really strikes me today, as you mentioned the numbers for all these guys, but between Smith and Jigba, Olave, and Wilson, those guys combined for 24 catches on 26 targets?
Is that good?
Literally 26 targets for Wilson. That's 7 catches on 9 targets.
Good?
Olave, 7 catches on 7 targets. Smith and Jigba, 10 catches on 10 targets. That is just ridiculous. I didn't catch that until we actually started talking.
24 receptions.
24 receptions on 26 targets.
That's outstanding. Something you often don't see, honestly. Other side of the ball, man. Bucks held them in check. Michigan State starting quarterback Peyton Thorn, 14 of 36 for 158, had a third quarter touchdown. Fourth quarter touchdown, it was really fourth. Not much of anything. His numbers look a lot better than they did early. He must have gone 8 for 8 in the game or something because we looked early on. They weren't in 14 for 36 is bad in its own right, but he wasn't anywhere near that. Kenneth Walker, the third, came to the game leading the nation in rushing, leading the nation in forced missed tackles, yards after contact. Just a beast. Guy's amazing. Got to give him credit. Finished today against this Ohio State defense, 6 carries, 25 yards.
Yeah, it's crazy. He was on the sideline for much of the second half because there was no point in having him out there. You're not going to risk injury. Michigan State still has a lot. Still has a lot to play for, obviously. Ohio State neutralized him in the first half. We talked about it. It was going to be key for Ohio State to get up early on Michigan State because they're just not a team that's built to come from behind, especially when they were already down one of their top 2 receivers, and then later in the game, the top receiver goes out. So it really put them behind the 8 ball. They want to try to get a lead and then kind of choke you out Python style with the running game. And you can't do that when you're down 21-0 in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, tough to do. If you're a running team and you're going to have a hard time beating Ohio State, they get up on you early because, like you said, took them out of everything they wanted to do. And they got some receivers. They got some guys that can play over there, but obviously Ohio State had too many weapons. Turn our attention to Michigan. We're going to talk more about this game, but it's Michigan week.
Yeah, right? It's Michigan week. It's here. It's we'll see what Michigan can do later today. But man, you got to feel good about, again, Ohio State just clicking all cylinders going into the game. Offensively ridiculous, and then because the offense had 655 yards today, that's what you're going to talk about. But Michigan State's offense was not a slouch coming in. It wasn't an electric offense by any stretch, but hell, basically shut out by the first teamers in 7 points the entire game. You got to feel good about the way Ohio State's defense is playing, particularly the rush defense, right? I mean, the rush defense has been solid all year, giving up a little over 3 yards a carry, I think like 11th in the country, and largely neutralized. I mean, again, Michigan State got behind, but they averaged 3.1 a carry on 21 tries today. So yeah, as you turn the page, you get ready for a Michigan offense that really wants to run the ball. They got a little bit more big play capability than what we've seen over the last handful of years. But
really
they're bread and butter, and they'll probably get Blake Corum back next week. They got that 1-2 punch with Haskins at running back. Is that they want to lean on those two guys and run the football. And you got to feel good about Ohio State's defense as well, even though the offense stole the show today.
Guy Gregory Cooper on Facebook saying, time for hot pants Harbaugh next Saturday, and I think didn't even hear the final whistle in this game. I think right around the third quarter, everyone's already thinking Michigan. Huge game. Michigan's sixth in the college football playoff rankings.
Yeah,
I would say they jumped, but they were already ahead of Sparty. Sparty's going to plummet a little bit, but it's going to be another top 6 game on the road.
Yeah,
Michigan, like you said, a little better this year than they've been in recent years, but man, they have the dudes.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out, right? That's why we play the game. But what did we say? I think Ohio State is a 7.5-point favorite, or at least they were this morning. After today's performance, and we'll see what Michigan does, I could see where maybe some bettors would be lining up for Ohio State and push that spread a little higher, before kickoff next week. We'll see what it's officially released at tomorrow. But a lot of those early lines are Ohio State by a little more than a touchdown on the road. But, like you said, I mean, as children of the Cooper era, we're always, trying to be mindful of the game, right? And that the better team doesn't always win that game. But Jimmy's and Joe's, you got to feel pretty good about how they stack up on Ohio State's sideline versus Michigan's.
Yeah, 2 fantastic defensive ends up there. I mean, 2 guys, honestly, frankly, I wouldn't mind having in Columbus because they're leading the Big Ten, tied 10 sacks apiece. Will be a challenge, but again, man, another offense that doesn't like to pass. Would rather run, play ball control, sound football, sound defense. And if Ohio State can jump out on Michigan, I think you're going to see, maybe not a 49-0 first half. I mean, it's going to put them in trouble early. They can jump out.
Well, teams just have to respect Ohio State's offense. It seems like the formula is that you want to try to get pressure on Stroud, right? But to do that means you have less guys in coverage. So if you can't rattle Stroud with your blitz or the offensive line picks it up, it's going to be big-time trouble. So I think it goes back to what you said with Hutchinson and Ajabo. Like, those guys need to get pressure on C.J. Stroud without the aid of blitz or anything like that, so that you can have as many guys in coverage as possible to try to keep track of this trio of Ohio State receivers. If Michigan can do that, rattle Stroud a little bit or make him rush, get him off timing, then I think that's going to be their formula. But, easier said than done.
And recent history has shown that Ryan Day has plans to kind of eat their Michigan, man. They don't have anything for his cross. Years. They ran Don Brown out of town as defensive coordinator because he couldn't figure him out. It's not complex football, but Ryan Day called and dials up plays that gets dudes open. And I'm sure if you're Jim Harbaugh, you're warming up to play at Maryland today, you're kind of keeping an eye at the score, you're saying, oh, shit, man, right?
Yeah. Well, and thinking about, to your point about Day, it wasn't until the last couple of weeks where we've seen a lot of motion where jet sweeps, those little pop passes have really come into play. You haven't seen much of that this year until the last couple of weeks. That's kind of a new wrinkle that is introduced. Today they faked that a couple times and hit Michigan State for some big plays, not on the pop pass. So what other kind of wrinkles might he introduce? What things has he been setting up for Michigan that we don't really realize he's been setting up, that he has been doing this play calling over the last couple of weeks, right? And how will those things kind of link back? But yeah, you hit it. I mean, the last couple of years, Ohio State's killed them with a lot of that mesh stuff and crossing routes and things like that, taking advantage of Michigan's defensive weaknesses. And you got to think Dave's been watching a lot of Michigan film all season, thinking about how he wants to attack that defense.
Greg Dudley's on Facebook saying, Earth, Wind, and Fire just returned to the top of the charts.
I like it. Yeah, it's sweet.
I was a little lukewarm on the Earth, Wind, and Fire thing. I mean, the graphic was okay during the game, but whatever you want to call them. It's the three best wide receivers in the country.
Yeah,
by far.
And the best receiving core Ohio State's ever had, right? I mean,
yeah, maybe
it's really good. Yeah, well, yeah, that's fair.
They're all 3 first-round picks, and they're all going to go in the first. You know, we're going to have Olave and Garrett Wilson lead this year. They'll probably both go in the top 18. Next year, you're going to have JSN go. He'll probably go in the top 12.
And I'm pretty sure JSN had 105 yards today. I think that was enough to move him into third place, for single season yardage.
No.
We talked about some of the records he's already broke.
Well, how many 1,000-yard receivers have we ever had?
We had 5 before this.
And we're about to have 3 in one season?
Yeah.
All right, that's pretty darn good. Andy Ross has a good question on Facebook. How would you compare Walker to Blake Corum?
Yeah, I don't know that I would compare. I mean, I think Walker's obviously on a much different level. I think Blake Corum's maybe not quite as heavy, potentially a little bit more shifty, but isn't going to break tackles the way that Kenneth Walker could, or at least had before entering today. I think Hassan Haskins has really been their guy this year. That's going to be, and with Corum coming off injury as well, it's going to be interesting to see how they use those guys. But I think Corum likely isn't going to play today. I think Herbie was talking on game day about them keeping him out. With the hope of him hopefully being ready next week for that 1-2 punch.
Wouldn't you? It'd be fun if they lost to Maryland trying to hold some dudes back, wouldn't it?
Well, at this point, I'm one of those guys. We have this debate all the time, right? To me, Michigan can lose every game every single week. I'm not going to hope that Ohio State plays them when it's 1 versus 2. It's cool when it happens.
Right.
I'm just not going to sit there and wish for it to happen kind of thing.
Sure.
But knowing where we're at right now, I really do hope Michigan wins today. Right? Let's set the table for next week to really have even. It's already giant implications for Ohio State. Obviously,
you want 10-1, right?
When you're in, kind of deal. But yeah, you want it to, when you're 1 game away, let's make it for that much more.
What are you drinking this week, man?
Rocking some Elmer T. Lee this week. Little Buffalo Trace product action. Pretty tough to get the hands on these. So I thought for what I thought was going to be a tougher game, a bigger game, I should bring out a bigger gun. And,
you should have brought the Natty Light out.
Yeah, seriously. We should have just been throwing back Natter days all day.
You want to throw this out there. If anyone can guess the location of the bunker, you can come drink some of this next week. We'll be here for the Michigan game. So
come bring it. About $40 a pour. Yeah,
no, it's free. You can guess the location. Chris has agreed to pour you some free bourbon. Did see Quinn Ewers at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Surprised?
Not really. I was surprised because of where the ball was on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly, I would say I was surprised is because if you're going to put him in there, you kind of want to give him a chance to throw the ball around a little bit. But you're not going to do that in that situation. Obviously, you're just taking a knee. Even if it was on the 20, they'd probably take a knee. But so it was a little surprising. But good to see him get on the field.
Kyle Mccord was in before that for chunks of the second half. Burned his red shirt by appearing. Rough afternoon for him, 4 of 8, 17 yards, the one really bad interception.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be interesting being Kyle McCord because he's really talented. I think a lot of fans would say he's, would agree, he's super talented. I mean, actually, there are a lot of fans on Twitter calling for him ahead of C.J. Stroud a couple months ago.
They were once upon a time.
Not too late to delete those tweets, so if you still have them, you want to delete them, go for it. We won't judge. But imagine coming in as him, and you've got a guy ahead of you that's 32 at 35. You're like, how am I ever going to get playing time? I've got to force things. I got to show coaches what I can do. At some point, just play steady and assume your role as a backup.
Right. Well, when you have limited game reps like that, it kind of becomes just a cycle where it's tough to get out there and really feel comfortable and produce. I think to me, this just goes back to again a lot of the barking about Stroud not running. I only want him to run when it's absolutely necessary because he has got to stay on the field. I'm not sure he's the potentially the toughest quarterback that's ever played.
Every quarterback in the country.
Most.
Fields ran. Loose fields last year wasn't fun.
No, it definitely wasn't. But unless it's absolutely necessary, Stroud makes this offense go.
See, here's why I like it. And fans were upset about it a couple weeks ago that he didn't run, he doesn't run. He seemed to not want to run. He gave an answer in the press conference saying, I'm a quarterback.
I did not like that.
That's what I do. I'm not here to run. Basically said I'm not going to do it. And it's like, all right, that's kind of weird. And a lot of the Ohio State beat writers kind of are clowning on fans the last 2 weeks. They're like, look at him, look at his numbers. Oh, fans still want him to run. And that's stupid to me because why not have that extra weapon in your arsenal?
Yeah.
Why not give defensive coordinators something else to prepare for? Maybe they have to spy you with a guy half a game now instead of not going at it at all. Why not have that?
Yeah.
To me, it's like saying, okay, the United States already has the biggest and strongest military on earth, but we don't need to spend another dollar on defense. It's kind of silly.
Totally fair point. To me, you don't want either one of those in absolute. You don't want to run it all the time, and you don't want to never running, right? You want that mix. I just want to make sure that it's when it's truly is absolutely necessary. To again minimize those hits. He was nicked earlier. Again, I'm not sure he's quite the bulldog that maybe we saw Fields. He's certainly not of the same. He's a little bit more slight of frame.
He can run, I think, a lot better than he gives off.
Yeah,
kind of like Haskins.
I agree.
For the longest time.
I mean, he looked pretty good in his one run.
And Stroud did have a scramble. They picked up a first down on it, so good for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mccord took off once and got popped, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a run. He had 2 for 9 yards.
I remember him getting level one time. Like, yeah, I'm not going to like that. Who's your player of the game today?
I mean, C.J. Stroud put himself into, well, he was already the leader in Vegas as far as the betting odds for Heisman. I think today going head-to-head against another Heisman, legit Heisman candidate, that I don't know how he's not the absolute front runner right now. I mean, if he has an average game next week, it feels like he's a lock to be invited to New York. And right now, it's just crazy to think about. I mean, part of it is because I think just this year in college football, there's only, a lot of the quarterbacks that you thought were going to do something beginning of the year, whether it's in Clemson, Oklahoma, they haven't done anything, right? I mean, they've been awful. Yeah. So, and it's not like there's any one running back out there just completely going wild, right? It seems like this is a year a running back could steal it, you know? Like it seems like there's a year a running back could steal it from a quarterback. And, I mean, I have a hard time seeing how Stroud honestly doesn't win it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce Young's, I think, still in it. Walker, probably out of it now. I think those were the 3 that were in the Heisman bunch.
Yeah, Bryce Young for sure.
The 2 guys going head-to-head today, and one of them looked really good, and one of them didn't look good at all. So I think it's down to Bryce Young and Stroud. But at this point, why not CJ? You know, he's got great numbers, 3,400 yards on the season, 35 touchdowns, 2 or 3 picks, maybe? Something like that?
Yeah, I mean, he's out of season.
Maybe, no, I think he might be up to 5. Looking here, Tommy Eichenberg led the team in tackles today, 7. Also had a TFL, a half TFL. Always good to see from the Night King. And a lot of reflections here at the line of scrimmage today.
Yeah, it was nuts. We talked about it at halftime. I think they had 7 PDUs at halftime. They ended up with 11. Wow. That's just a huge number. And I think at least 4 of those came from the defensive front. I know Tyreek had it, or Zach Harrison had a couple. I think Tyreek had one. Tyreek Williams may have had one. So defensive line did work again today. Out of the reserves, you mentioned Eichenberg, who's in the normal rotation. But I thought it was good to see Court Williams out there running around. I think he finished with 7 tackles as well. And 2 of those were for loss. He came in on blitz a couple times. I think that's a guy in the future. As you're sitting here thinking about this team and where weaknesses, potentially lie, a lot of folks go right to the safety position. I know I do, right? And thinking about in the years going forward, I don't think Court Williams is going to be a factor this year because of those injuries, but that's a guy who's going to be a big-time player for Ohio State down the line, and he looked really good in mop-up duty today. I'm
glad you mentioned it because every year I like to watch, there's always a guy or maybe 2 guys that last couple games, they get going, bowl practice, and by the time the bowl runs there, like,
springboard to next year, right?
Yeah. And a couple years ago, that was Chris Olave blocked the punt, scored the touchdown against Michigan. So maybe it's Court Williams. Maybe it's Court Williams. Maybe one of these guys this year. I want to see who that is. But again, a resounding effort, 56-7 against number 7 Michigan State today. Personally think that Oregon's going to have to go out big time against Utah tonight. That's a game they're underdogs in at Utah. Yeah. Well, they're going to have to hang 60, I think, to keep their spot. So even if Oregon wins the game, which is a good win, good road win over a ranked team, I think Ohio State's going to jump anyway.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know that I don't know if I'm quite on that wagon yet, but I still think with Ohio State having a convincing win over Michigan State, if they go in and they don't have to beat Michigan this bad, but if they handle Michigan pretty well, that's only going to further bolster. Like, that's going to happen, right? The ability to leapfrog certainly is still there for Ohio State, even if it doesn't occur this next set of polls. It's going to happen.
Absolutely, and if they win next week, and if they win the Big Ten championship, that's going to be 4 straight ranked wins all of a sudden, with 2 ranked wins to come, or 2 ranked foes to come.
And we'll see who that is out of the West, right? Who is that person? Who is that team, and how high are they ranked? I think the Michigan and Michigan State wins will both end up being bigger wins than those, but don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. And whoever that Big Ten champ, or whoever that Big Ten West champ might be, seems like is it still stacking up to potentially be Wisconsin? And if it was them, I think we've heard a lot of people talk, and I agree, that'd be a really good kind of preview if they face Georgia. I'm not saying it's the exact same. Wisconsin's defense is, obviously much better than their offense. And statistically, I think it's the best in the country as far as total defense. So it'd be interesting to see Ohio State go up against a physical group like that, if it could potentially be a prelude to a matchup with Georgia. Some
national games have gone final. Number 25, Mississippi State. 55, Tennessee State, 10. This is, of course, chicken shit Saturday. The SEC teams all play at nobody ahead of their rivalry games. Number 16, Texas A&M, 52, Prairie View A&M, 3. I actually had Prairie View A&M in that one, so I'm very disappointed.
Plus 45.
Number 13, Oklahoma, 28. Iowa State, 21. Good home win for the Sooners, who really needed that. Number 1, Georgia, 56. Charleston Southern, 7. So
familiar score.
Yeah, Ohio State and Georgia had the same scores. One was playing the number 17 in the country. One was playing Charleston Southern. So I knew who was getting more love if I had a CFP. If I was in the room there. Clemson, 48. Number 10, Wake Forest,
Man.
27. Rolling in Death Valley
That
down
was a
there.
3.5 point spread. Clemson was favored, but not by that margin.
And that's a good outcome for Cincinnati. Just getting teams near you out of the way. Because Wake was number 10, and get them out of the way. Games underway. Number 5, Cincinnati's up 7-0 on SMU. Number 22, UTSA, losing 7-0 to UAB. Virginia up 7-0 on number 18, Pittsburgh. Number 15, Wisconsin and Nebraska are tied at 7. Number 6, Michigan and Maryland are scoreless about 6 minutes into the first. Number 2, Alabama, and number 21, Arkansas are scoreless about 6 minutes into the first. Arkansas has the ball there. Second quarter here, number 8, Notre Dame, 38. Georgia Tech, 0. And then number 17, Iowa, up 17-13 at the half against Illinois. And, clown on Illinois all we want, but they've got a couple wins this year. They don't have any business having.
They keep scrapping them together.
Other Big Ten games, Purdue 32, Northwestern 14. Look for the Boilers, maybe sneak back into the top 25 with that one. Minnesota and Indiana are scoreless in Bloomington. And Penn State, 28-0 winners over Rutgers.
It's close for a minute.
It was a 0-0 for the longest time, 7-0 at the half. But yeah, again, it's Michigan week. You want to stop by drygoods.11warriors.com. We're restocked. Grab your gear. We got this bad boy, one of my favorite tees to wear. Don't really need to say a whole lot about it. It's beautiful, make you look good. Everyone here in Columbus will love you for wearing it.
This one, guys, not bad either. The play on the again, something we've had in a couple different iterations in dry goods before. But the quality's great on all these, but I like the red on this little guy here. So yeah, I picked this up in dry goods. I think we're loaded for bear in all sizes.
Drygoods.11warriors.com, the most comfy t-shirts you'll ever buy. Hit us up. We'll have that stuff on the site. We've got a few more things. Got some buttons. Got some cool other hating on Michigan gear that we'll roll out. And, again, we'll have that up and ready to rock. 7.5 was the line for Ohio State, Michigan last week. Probably around 10 now. What do you think it comes out tomorrow when they officially kind of put it back out?
Yeah, like I said, I think it'll go up a little bit, but I don't think it'll go up a ton. People have been betting on that game for quite a while, I would think. So, maybe it's 8, 8.5, something like that. If anything, right? I think during the course of the week you might see some movement, but for now I don't think it'll change a whole ton. I'll say maybe Ohio State by 8, 8.5. You think it'll go up much or stay flat?
I could see it get up to 9.5, 10, honestly.
Even on Sunday morning when it comes out.
Well, I guess we got to see what Michigan does against Maryland. That might have a small factor in it too. But this Ohio State offense right now, I mean, I'll be shocked if the game is closer to 2 scores next week.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I try to temper it at the same time. It's how are they going to slow these dudes down?
Yeah.
I think they win by 10 points if they give up 28.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you keep this team from scoring 40 right now.
Yeah, and especially if you get a lead on that team. Cade McNamara cannot throw the ball.
Yeah, same deal, right? Yeah. Those teams don't want to play from behind. I mean, nobody does, but I think Ohio State's in a much different situation now than the Oregon game when they were playing from behind.
Yeah.
Stroud was not healthy, was his second game. Everything just felt like it was off script and nothing was going your way kind of deal. I think that even though Ohio State's not been tested a bunch since then, I think he would respond much differently to playing from behind if he had to. And then obviously just the guns, the weapons that Ohio State has, you feel okay that if things got a little shaky early, that they would have the ability to come back. Where like a Michigan State today, you're screwed because of what your strength is and what your strength is not. I guess more so.
Yep, I agree 100%. I'm going to throw it out there right now. Ohio State 37, Michigan 17.
Yeah, it's probably not far off where I would be. That's probably not far off. I'd probably 42 for Ohio State, and then we'll see. For Michigan, I got to think about it a little. It's a little early.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us here on the 11 Warriors postgame report. Again, number 4, Ohio State rolled number 7, Michigan State, 56-7 today. We'll be back at it next week. And remember, if you can find the bunker on your own without us giving the directions, Chris is going to share his bourbon with you next week. We'll see you next week.